Before we start this video, let me just... okay. Age of Calamity has been released for about 2 weeks now, and I have some thoughts. This video contains spoilers, including the secret ending, so just be aware of that. Also, it's needless to say, but this review is 100% opinion-based. I'll be bringing up my personal pros and cons, and there will certainly be some disagreeable points. But overall, I think it's important to remain honest when reviewing a game. So let's get right into it. There are a lot of points that make Age of Calamity incredibly satisfying and disappointing at the same time. 3 major elements of the game will be judged in this video, and I'd like to start with my 10 out of 10, the A+ subject, the soundtrack. I am a sucker for purely instrumental music to begin with, so I'm probably biased in some aspects, but I really do love the soundtrack of Age of Calamity. Not only did they make original music that is composed beautifully, filled with emotions and engaging sounds, but they included some of the themes from Breath of the Wild, such as the Divine Beasts and the main characters' themes as remixes. It's a very neat addition that attaches us and gives us a feeling of familiarity. This time they also embraced The Legend of Zelda's main theme more often than they did in Breath of the Wild, a piece of music I truly enjoy listening to. Let's talk about the gameplay. It's difficult to rate it because, like everything else, it depends on preference. I think I'd give it a 9 out of 10. Although this is a Hyrule Warriors game, the developers made great effort to make it feel like Breath of the Wild, and I do appreciate that a lot. Personally, I was mainly excited for the story, and I admit that my interest in the mechanics was minor, but the gameplay actually does fit well. You are able to switch between the playable characters, all of which have unique moves that keep the gameplay interesting. I did feel overpowered at some points, and I could utter the disagreeable canonicity of Link's overall skill set, but I've come to accept that this is a game built around war and combat, and if he were identical to the Link we steer in Breath of the Wild, he would appear pretty average or even majorly less gifted compared to the other champions. Age of Calamity gives us a good insight of the champion's special abilities and unworldly powers, something we scarcely got to see in Breath of the Wild, so that's nice. Something to mention is the dissimilarity of the enemy's difficulty. While some enemies are easier to defeat than they were in Breath of the Wild, others take forever to damage. However, it is unfair to compare the 2 games because, well, that is exactly why. They are 2 games, not 1. So let's not judge upon that with too much solemnity. Let's talk about the story. But first... oh Nintendo, what a mess you've made! I want to give the story 2 separate scores, a 5 out of 10 for the expectations they failed to meet, and an 8 out of 10 for the overall story when disregarding Breath of the Wild entirely. The story isn't bad. It just didn't deliver what I, and many others, had wished for. And may I add, Nintendo is well aware of that. Allow me to elaborate. We start off with this epic shot of Zelda finding her powers as she is protecting the one she loves the most. This is amazingly well done because we instantly recognize this scene, but we have never actually seen it before. We are given a totally new point of view, which pretty much sums up our expectations for Age of Calamity. Then, this fantastic moment passes in a matter of seconds. Next we see Terrako for the first time, a tiny guardian that Zelda repaired or even built by herself when she was a child. For reasons unknown, Terrako is activated by Zelda's powers, and for reasons even more unknown, it can travel through time. The problems start pretty early on. There are just more unanswered questions. And it's not like this is a new concept. Ocarina of Time had time travel involved, so this is neither original nor very shocking. I can't speak for everyone, but after some discussions with my followers on Instagram, it comes with ease to assume that a lot of people did not desire all this timeline junk. My guess is that Nintendo figured as much. That's why there was no mention of it in any of their trailers, announcements, or discussions. I mean, come on. There were like, what, 5 trailers? The Gate of Time opens in the prologue, and the entire game is built around it, so the reason they hit that unfavorable attribute is not due to spoilers. We were expecting to see the events that led up to this one. That's the reason most fans were super hyped, because the lack of information about the time before Ganon's awakening is what the community has been complaining about in countless reviews, gameplays and theory videos, me included. Watching Zelda and Link overcome their character flaws together is something we have asked for years. And despite the ending being predictable if we had stayed in this timeline, new characters like Aster and Terrako could have still been introduced and made this game just as, if not more, enjoyable. But instead, we are pulled into an alternate timeline, a timeline that feels distant and unfamiliar. Link and Zelda are strangers, which I admit was a nice change of course. I realized that the fact that they don't know each other is actually pretty great. This way, we'd get to see all the moments that led up to her falling in love with him, and perhaps we'd see whether Link felt the same. Yeah, good one. Nope. Zelda goes from not noticing Link at all, straight to liking him, and then to not liking him so much, and then right back to, you're the reason my powers awakened. In Breath of the Wild, Zelda treats Link coldly. This is the character we are first introduced to in the memories. She's determined to fulfill her destiny, and while she's dedicated to spend every last bit of her strength trying to unlock her stealing powers, the kingdom and her father see her as nothing but a failure that is wasting her time with ancient relics. Of all people, Link, the young, exceptional, courageous boy who swings the Master Sword with ease, is appointed Zelda's knight. A constant reminder that she is failing her own duties as the Goddess Blood Princess. After Link saves her life despite her frustration with him, she realizes that she may have done him injustice and decides to talk to him. He opens up to her about the burden that rests upon his shoulders, something that only Zelda could relate to. She was probably the only person Link felt understood by as well. They began to feel comfortable around each other. Zelda didn't feel the need to be this praiseworthy princess around him, this noble figure. She could just be herself without the constant fear of judgment. They became friends, they had fun, they were there for each other. The development of their relationship is absolutely believable. And then we have Age of Calamity. I believe that the developers tried to mirror their relationship to the one we are shown in Breath of the Wild, but it's divergent in countless ways. In contrast to Breath of the Wild, it starts off with Zelda thinking fondly of Link, liking his courage and strength. She doesn't see a problem with him at all, and while the turning point in Breath of the Wild happens when Zelda is saved by the hero, in Age of Calamity, Link saves her multiple times and it's not a big deal. She sort of just disregards it completely, and I don't understand why that is. What causes the difference? And at the same time, when he saves her in this scene right here, her reaction is somewhat strange.
Link!
We don't know what she was going to say, but we can assume that it was something personal, otherwise she wouldn't have hesitated. Or she's just really terrible at thanking people. I suppose this is when she begins to really care about Link. It upsets me because I was looking forward to seeing them open up, really talk. I mean, obviously Link wouldn't be talking in a cutscene, but to see them privately bonding and get to know each other would have been extremely rewarding. I mean, it still feels like they just met. On the surface, he's a knight like any other, and her affection for him appears unreasoned. Don't get me wrong, this is actually one of my favorite cutscenes, and I did like that they tried to make him more responsive with developed projections of emotions. I just didn't fully understand Zelda's behavior. Another one of my favorite scenes is the one in the Korok Forest. I love the camera movement and the mood it creates. Link actually fails to protect the princess, a scene I absolutely enjoyed. It's oddly satisfying to see Link on the ground. Would have been even greater to see his struggles if he was known to be the chosen hero and if Zelda envied him for his gift, since it would show that even he is not perfect and is not guaranteed success. But okay, Link is helpless and all he can do is stretch out to reach for Zelda, like that's going to change anything at all. Why did he do that? I actually believe there is a really good reason for that. If you pay close attention, you will see that he is only mirroring Zelda's movement. I also always try to find connections to Breath of the Wild's sequel, and even though this might be totally unrelated, it's intriguing that Link's right hand, which is affected in this trailer, causes the Master Sword to glow in Age of Calamity. Starting here, we have Zelda's face of resentment. Luckily, Urbosa talks some sense into her pretty quickly. First of all, I love Urbosa's character in Age of Calamity. Actually, all of the champions had a very well-defined character and I admire them all. But what is even more important is Link eating rocks. Literally 10 out of 10, A++ with a golden star. Now the story continues with the focus on two sides, the champions and the Yiga. If I started talking about Aster, this video would become way too long. So let me just sum it up by saying, love the voice acting, love the character design, got really confused by his unexplained appearance. And I'm definitely not the only one. I think a ton of people are trying to figure out who he is and why he's included in Age of Calamity. I screamed when Malice Link popped up and fought my favorite Yiga members. Unfortunately, Link defeats his shadow with ease. I was really hoping to see some epic cutscene, but it was over pretty quickly. I feel like there's so much more to say, but so little time to discuss it all. I mean, the cutscenes alone added up to over 2 hours of footage, so it's impossible to sum it all up in a 15-minute video. But theory videos give me the opportunity to look closer at certain story parts. Some things still confuse me, like this scene right here. Seriously, what was that? What is going on here? Apart from the moments that left me muddled, there were some deliberate plot twists during which I tried, but really couldn't comprehend what the developers were hoping to achieve here. I got a bit annoyed when more time travel was involved later on when the champions were challenged by Ganon's blights. It felt a bit forced, as if Nintendo only included Breath of the Wild's characters with the sole purpose of us liking them. That was the perfect chance to make this game a bit more thrilling, make it dark. It was going to be tragic, difficult, emotional. Maybe there could have been another way to defeat the blights, but again, that's just my opinion and you're entitled to have a different one. If you love Mipha's and Zidon's reunion, good for you. You'll definitely enjoy the story then. I did really like the interactions of Urbosa and Riju, so I totally understand that point of view too. I would like to jump straight to the ending now, but there are just so many things to mention. When Zelda and Link run into King Rome, I remember being so tense and hyped. It was an incredible scene. The mood was so dark and emotional. Call me a psychopath, but this was exactly what I wanted to see in Age of Calamity.
Dad.
Oh, what was that, Morty Jr.? Were you gonna say Dada? Say Dada.
Death!
Dada.
Domination!
Dada?
Destruction, domination.
Nice.
Link wants to save the king, who orders Link to protect Zelda instead. This is so well done, and my entire perspective of the game took a drastic turn right there. There was sacrifice, love, action, despair and desperation, and King Rome was dead. Except he wasn't. Turns out our boy survived, thanks to a guardian part Zelda had given him earlier in the game. I hate to say this, because yay, the king is alive, but actually I was pretty disappointed. I was already struggling to accept that all of the champions were going to be fine, and seeing that the king had died was sad, yes, but it was also a death that was needed to make the story matter. I was going to say that Age of Calamity delivered a Disney ending, but even in Disney there is sacrifice and death. I guess some Yigas died, but let's be honest, that didn't really touch our hearts. Then Terako dies. Except he doesn't. In the secret ending we see him get repaired, which I feel like has a lot more hidden meanings than we assume, but that's for another video. The official ending was nice, even though everyone survived without a scratch and Hyrule was saved before irreparable destruction. We got to see Link smile, and even though that's so minor, it felt so good. No, really, I have my reactions tape, and I mean, That's your reaction? Yes, kiss, kiss, this is, yep, this is it, do it. Hug him, at least, he's smiling! He is smiling at her!
Return to your future.
He's smiling, Link is smiling. Yeah, there were a lot of those moments, me screaming full of hype, and then there were a lot of moments at which... Can someone explain what's happening? Overall, the game was really good, even though I did bring up a lot of things I disliked. And I didn't even complain about the rather questionable narration during loading screens.
At long last, Zelda's true power had awakened.
This game may not have met our expectations. In some aspects, however, it exceeded what we had hoped for. There were many incredible fighting scenes, lots of hidden messages, and innumerable meaningful details. The story was a bit chaotic, but I enjoyed the concept of bringing all of our favorite characters together from the start. Let me know in the comments if you'd like me to review special scenes such as Zelda's Awakening or Astor's Defeat, or make a theory video about Z-Link, or why the heck Link wasn't in the possession of the Master Sword. Also, why did Mipha say Link hasn't changed?
And yet, you have not changed.
She knows him for this happy, hyped child he used to be, and now he's just quietly nodding. What's up with that? See, there are a lot of things to talk about, and I totally forgot to mention Link's insane fight against Rivali. Just let me know what you want me to discuss in my next video, and I'll be sure to make a detailed video with the main focus on one specific topic. As always, thank you so much for watching. For more content, you can go check out my Instagram account, where I consistently post Zelda comics. Otherwise, I hope to see you for my next video. Enjoy the game if you have it or if you're receiving it soon. Bye guys.